Hello there, it's Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations, and thank you for joining my live stream. I have started a few minutes early today. Isn't that sneaky of me? I had to set a time. Oh my goodness, and now the phone rings. Right, okay. So I had to set a time for it, but basically I had some stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I was just waiting for that to finish. So I just thought, wait for that to finish, and then I'll start as soon as it's finished. And it's finished, so now I started. Hello to Mr. Crimstar. Thank you very much for the congratulations. Yes, I hit 10,000. I don't know, a few hours after my live stream, my last live stream. It was very soon after that. So yes, I do appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who has made that possible. Hello, Jay. Sad Mac 356. Hello. Oh, Sean's here. Hello. And Molto Nitho. And who else we got? Joe Williams. I wasn't actually planning to stream today. Things was just getting way too late in the day. It's what is it, 2:45 in the afternoon here, and I was just thinking, nah, it's just not going to happen. I then just sort of thought, well, I've got to come down here. I may as well just get a little stream there. Shady Robot, hello. Now, I'm just going to, just bear with me a second. Bear with me. I won't be a minute. Right. Okay, so I've got a few things that I've got a whole bunch of things that I need to work on as to what I actually start and finish with. Who knows? Hello, Joe Green. I'm kind of just trying to work through the backlog, and unfortunately, when you're working through backlog, it's not interesting stuff. So, for instance, one of the things I need to recap now is this Caddy loading drive. Now, this is a special drive. Hello, Michael. How are you? This is a special drive that I have here, and I'll explain why. And I'll explain why I'm chuckling so much. This is a Goldman original. This particular drive was sold by Monsieur Goldman on eBay. No, I was not the buyer. But I just thought you might like to know. This is what a Goldman original looks like. And I know what it looks like inside. Unrecapped. That's what it looks like inside. So, a couple of things. First of all, I just want to test out this. No, not that. This. Whee! Look at that. We like that view. I know we've had a top view before, but this one is a little different. This one's very action retro. This one is now... I used to have it attached to my lamp, but now I've actually got it attached to the ceiling, and I've got it with zoom capability. So I can zoom in to have the view like this. And it's autofocus, so I can bring things up nice and close in theory, and it should eventually focus. There we go. Look at that. You can see all my rough knuckles there. How did it wind up down there? Well, okay, there is a story. Oh, look, there's more people joining. Hello, David. Hello, Dana. Hello. Hello. No, I've said hello to everyone else. Okay, there we go. Warabi the Lisa. Okay, so the Lisa I've ultrasonically cleaned and is now sitting in the dryer drying out. So just a little bit of background on that, because I've been chatting away to my Maciac friends on Apple Message, and I have an Apple Lisa here at the moment that I need to repair. And one of the first things I needed to do was ultrasonically clean it, because it had quite a bit of corrosion on one of the boards. So that's done. It's ultrasonically cleaned. Now it's drying. And then the next thing I need to do will be to look over what's left after the ultrasonic cleaning. Because the problem is that we've got a we're pretty sure that some of the things were making contact just with the corrosion. Now, it sort of seems like... well, don't ultrasonically clean it then. Just leave it as it is. Bold head. But the problem is that if you've got a contact that's being held together by corrosion alone, it's not going to last. You know, it's something you need to deal with. So so we're going to start off here. So how this ended up down here in Australia, the person who owns this, they had a computer that was missing a Caddy drive, and a Caddy drive was what was originally in that computer as a Macintosh 2VX. And they had the front bezel and everything like that. They just didn't have the drive. Now, the reason they didn't have the drive is because the original was an absolute meltdown. I've got it here somewhere. I've never seen one like it. It was probably caused by capacitor leakage, but the inside of it was melted. The little spot where the laser is, it was actually melted there. So the lens was melted, so the drive was stuffed. So they ended up with a dead drive in that 2VX. So this particular person was after a Caddy loading drive, and hunted and hunted and hunted, and unfortunately Goldman was the only place they were able to find it. So what can you do? What can you do? Forced into these predicaments. So let's just have a look here. Yeah, so I mean the whole thing is that this 2VX has the front bezel for the Caddy loading drive. So you've got to kind of replace it with a Caddy loading drive. You can't put the tray load in there; it won't fit with the bezel. So that's the thinking behind that. I'm going to pull some of these things apart. I can't remember exactly how these things come apart. It's a while since I've done one. I did a video on it once. Oh, look, there's a spider. Hello, spider. There we go. Look at that. That came off. So they weren't all like this, but this is one where, I'm sorry, it's a bit bright there, but this one here, it had this little kind of revolving, what would you call it, sort of little front thingy here. So it says CD Caddy. Now when you put the Caddy in, this little thing pops down and says Caddy loaded. Isn't that cool? Caddy loaded. And then if it's not loaded, it just comes up with CD Caddy. And I like that. I think that's really nifty. So just to explain a couple of things with Caddy loading drives, because, you know, for anyone who might have not lived through that particular period in history, you think, why Caddies? Why on earth? And the reason is that in the early days, CDs were quite a valuable thing. You would buy, at the time, if software was coming in on a CD, it was expensive. You know, it was usually something that was going to cost you a fair bit. And so CDs were seen as a pretty valuable thing that needed a lot of protection and stuff like that. And the idea was that what you would do is you would take that CD, you would put it in a Caddy, and you would store it in the Caddy. So the Caddy would go up on your shelf, be labelled with whatever the CD was, and you'd put that up there, and then when it came to swapping them over, you just keep them in the Caddy. The problem was that Caddies at the time were stupidly expensive. Stupid. And so people had one Caddy, and then they just swapped CDs over inside that one Caddy. So the plan they had that you would sell CDs and then there'd be this huge market for Caddies as well didn't quite work out. And then someone came up with the tray loading option. So I've undone the screws to get this board off, and I need to just undo all of these things here now. So we've got a ribbon cable here, which needs to come out. How cool is this view? I can zoom in even further if I want to, but I can't do it remotely. I have to actually stand up and fiddle with the camera. Because this camera that I'm using for this is not my great big Pro one. This is a much smaller Canon, this one is. I think a little Canon Legria, which I bought a long time ago. And it takes lovely pickies. And as you can see, the image is nice and sharp and high definition. All right, so here's the board. Here are our offending capacitors. And here's what's left over. And so the one that I had before, the one that came out of the computer originally, this whole thing was just melted. So, cool, eh? Right, I haven't been looking at the chat. Hello. Have you seen my pic I put up on Discord a few days ago under the help and troubleshooting channel about my sad Mac SE power supply? The answer to that would be generally no, because I am so rarely on Discord these days. So, my sad Mac SE power supply. So I will have to have a look at that. I'll have a look. Wonder what made them pay. Now, the person who bought this did say to me that they felt they didn't pay too much, all things considered. that it wasn't too bad. They sort of made an offer, and it wasn't too bad. So, and there's talk of Goldman. There is indeed. Okay, so right. So here we have the board, and if I bring that up a little bit closer and see if we can get some focus happening. This is a bit of an experiment. It's focusing all right. There we go. You can see there's the caps there. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. And there's a spot here for a capacitor where one does not need to go. That can be left blank. And you will find that when we start to pull this apart, the chances are there'll be some fairly visible corrosion there, because we do tend to see that with these. And these are a pretty rubbishy board too. This isn't like working on an Apple board. This is a Sony product. Not having a go at Sony or anything like that, but this is, I think it's only a 2-layer board, I'm pretty sure. Just a layer on the top and a layer on the bottom. And it's fairly cheaply manufactured. So when people encounter caps on their boards that have a pink-purple stripe instead of a black one, what does that mean? Do those need to be recapped as well? Oh, Jay, look at it. See, Jay knows the answer to this. He's just prompting me so that I would, I will inform others. So if they have, generally if they're pink or cyan or purple, and the stripes, it means that they are polymer capacitors. They're not electrolytic capacitors. And what is the difference between electrolytic and polymer? The main difference is that these electrolytics use a liquid electrolyte, which will over time dry out and leak potentially. Even if it doesn't leak, it will dry out. No matter how good the seals are, it will dry out eventually. That's why those sorts of capacitors have a lifetime rating. Polymer capacitors use a powder rather than a liquid electrolyte, and that means they don't dry out. So, so polymer capacitors last a lot longer and generally don't need to be recapped. So if you're opening up a device, and you have generally a more modern device, and you see these caps and you think, oh no, recapping needs to happen. If you see them with that, that color, that purple or light blue or pink, they're generally polymers and you won't need to recap them. So, yes, Shady Robot, you are exactly correct. So, we've got to take these capacitors off without destroying everything, and then we've got to replace them. Now, thankfully, there is a recapping guide for this on my website, recapamac.com or recapamac.com.au, whichever you prefer. And I am going to find Boreas. Oh, bear with me just a minute. I'm just going to bear with. Sorry. What is it? Okay, sorry about that. Just having to deal with some stuff. Oh, by the way, this is the keyboard I'm using now. A bit of a dusty, but it's not that falling aparty thing that I was using before. It's one of the old, what is this off? This is off a G4, I think. Someone will tell me. I think this is off a G4. Nice keyboard. Got a lovely feel about it. I like it. Nice. So this is what I'm using for now, and I think it'll probably survive a little longer out here because it's made of plastic. So when I knock it over, not if, but when I knock it over, it'll bounce, theoretically. Do-do-do-do. Okay. See, look at this. You can all see my little book here. Isn't it pretty? Is it? Okay. All right. And there we go. There it is. Look at that. This is one of my early revisions where it's actually written on it what it is. But yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 caps. Yep, there we go. That's good. So let's just put that to one side. As long as I have it with me, I know I can just whip these capacitors off with impunity. I need not fear ripping those caps off. Right, so I'm going to change over to a microscope view so that you can see what I'm seeing. Do you see what I see? Right, so you can see some green, you can see some blackening, you can see some trace rot there. Particularly if you have a look here, see that trace rot going around there? That's the leakage that's gone in, starting to eat away underneath the mask. You can see the corrosion here. It's all nice and crunchy. Crunchy here as well. Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Look at that. Look at that. Nasty. Now, whenever I do these, I usually replace these caps with a smaller one. Same size, 100 microfarad, 6.3 volt. But one that's in a smaller case because it's really hard to get in here. It just sucks. So, all right. Let's get these off. Let's get some heat sinks happening. So we've got plastic stuff here and we don't want to burn it. So I'm going to slot that down in the middle there. If it fits, which it does, sort of. So we're going to slot that down in the middle there. I have frequently, when I'm recapping these, accidentally removed components I did not want to remove. So you just have to be careful, particularly all these little resistors that you see. Whoa, what did I just do? What have I done? Can I Apple Z that? Nope. I think I just moved my my camera thing, my view. See, I'm still here. Don't worry. Just microscope. There it is. There's that, and then microscope big, and then yeah. So what I've basically done, I just then using my mouse, clicked on and flicked away my view in OBS. I should probably lock it, don't you think? So I'm going to have to probably delete it and add it again. Shall we do that? Let's do that now. Just remove microscope. Yes. So let's add a video input source. Video capture device. There we go. Add existing microscope. Okay. There we go. Then we just need to send that sucker to the back. Order, move to bottom. Yay! Now can I lock it? I'll lock it. I don't want it to move. Lock, enable, lock preview? I don't know. I don't know how to use this thing. Oh, leave it like that. I'll just try not to click it again, huh? Okay, I can change this now, can't I? Because I know what I'm doing today. Whoopsie. I'm going to say recapping a CD-ROM drive. Recapping. It's misspelled. Capping a CD-ROM drive. There we go. All right. G3. Okay, that's a Pro keyboard. Oh, that's G3. Okay, fair enough. How much did that drain from the Brenkus keyboard fund? Well, by the time a particular online broadcasting company took its little bit, there wasn't much left in the keyboard fund. I can't move this. He's wedged. Don't happen to have a cap guide for the Sony CR44 power supply of the SE30. I do have a Sony power supply guide. I haven't put it on my website because I wasn't particularly happy with it. But having said that, it's better than none, I guess. Woo! Excuse me. Capacitor made me squeal. Right, now, did I manage to keep everything in place? I did. That's okay, there was nothing there. I say that with confidence, but I've got no idea if there was. Yeah, that's meant to be empty. Okay, so we've got plenty of scunge there. Apple Pro mouse. Now, see, I'm not sure if I have the mouse. I might have. I'll have to look around for it. The truth is, for a keyboard to have down here, what I really should have is rubbish. But if I want one that, in particular, buying it in this country, if I want one that is going to be proper Apple happy, as in have the command key in the right spot next to the spacebar. Oh crap! Don't throw away the tweezers. I have to pay not cheap money. So I should maybe get online and just buy some rubbishy old Mac keyboard. You know the ones the clear ones that were like a dust tray, the white ones, and they were sort of, they had the white thing around the bottom and they just collected dust in them. Very bad design on Apple's part. Now this thing here with the stripes on it, just for anyone who's getting into electronics and stuff like that, and they look at that and they go, "Oh, it's a resistor." Oh, yeah, it's a resistor. It's not. It's actually an inductor. You can tell because it's labelled with an L. L. So, and generally you can tell it's an inductor, not a resistor, because of that different colour. See how it's green. Your resistors you'll generally see will be like that yellow, or they'll be blue. But yeah, if they're different colour, then they're probably an inductor. Whatever keyboard plus puck mouse equals perfection. I'm not going to argue with you there, Jay. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. As I have said so many times before, I really don't mind the puck mouse. Either the new revision that had the dimple on the button, or the older ones, but I would take the plastic bits off the side so that the thing wasn't perfectly round. I didn't like them being perfectly round. Look past that and they were fine. But I just didn't like them being round. These caps stink, by the way, so no worries with no doubt about their leakageness. What's this? What's stiff? What's so stiff? When I have a cluster of 3 caps like this, 3 or 4 or whatever, I will usually take all of them off at the one time because the board gets warm. This makes it easier. Oh, Jesus, why am I not using a fume extractor? What an idiot! There we go, there's a better. Last cap to come off. Ow, 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 ow. If you're talking about solder mask, I generally apply solder mask with a with a paintbrush or something like that. I don't use the syringe because it comes out way too liberally. Generally, when I'm using solder mask, I'm using very, very small amounts. So, in terms of the syringe, so what I actually did was I got the syringe and I put the contents into a little tin like this. Now, obviously, the tin is sort of light tight because we don't want focus. We don't want light getting in this because it's UV. I mean, if this, so I have it in this little tin, and then I open it up, and there's the gunk in there, and I apply it with a paintbrush. So for me, the fact that it's in a syringe is totally irrelevant. If you do want to apply it directly from the syringe, then yes, you would want to look at getting those little things, these little things that go on the end. You can stay there. Thank you. I've got another one. These things. You can't buy those things on eBay, by the way. You can just you can often buy a bundle of like a syringe and a plunger and a whole stack of those. That's what I did. All right. I see 4 times puzzle piece screw bins in your future. Yes, you do. So Jay is talking about my 3D printing. So I have a live webcam type streaming situation on my 3D printer, and Jay happens to know the address to watch it. So he knows everything that I'm 3D printing, and he knows that I just printed 4 of these little trays. They're little interlocking trays that I make in varying sizes, like 1 by 1, 2 by 1, 4 by 4, 4 ones, 1, 2, 4, 1, 1, 2, like that. And I plan to print a whole stack of them, enough to actually completely surround me here for putting bits in. And every time I get a new color 3D filament, I print a few of the little trays. So I got red the other day, so I printed some red ones. Incidentally, these, they might refer to them as needles. They're certainly not needles. They're not sharp. Right, what was I doing? I'm sure I was doing some recapping or something. I was filling my lungs with stinky electrolyte fumes is what I was doing. Right, so let's start cleaning some of these up. I'll start with these ones over here. So we're going to come at this at a side angle there. Going to clean those up. As usual, when I'm cleaning, I grab a little bit of my flux. I've got my Amtech. That's crooked. Why am I crooked? What the? There we go. There we go. Not crooked anymore. Okay, so, oh god, there's dust all over this. Get some Fluxaroonie. Clean some of this awful stuff up. Right. Out comes the soldering iron for the first time today. Hello, soldering iron. How are you today? Oh yeah. Now, just forewarning people, this probably won't be a particularly long stream today because I started so late. So if anyone's sort of thinking, yeah, I'm going to settle in for the night. Sorry. I'm using flux, I'm using heat, and I'm using fresh solder to clean these pads up. If you zoom in here, you'll see that flux is not adhering around the edges. We're getting a nice little blob in the middle. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I know what's going on. Getting a nice little blob in the middle, but we're getting this kind of crustiness around the outside. That needs to be gone. I have not done my job until solder is adhering to the entire pad. I'm taking some of the paint off, screen printing in the mask, but that's okay, I'm fine with it. So, got Valentine's Day coming up this weekend. How about that, eh? Oopsie. I have to admit, I'm not a big Valentine's Day person. I kind of object to the concept of retail telling me that I'm supposed to be nice to my wife on a particular day. I kind of like to be nice to her every day. So, and retail are a pack of mongrels, so. The flaming mongrel. It's an impression of a character that my guess is that none of you would know, because he's a character on an Australian sitcom. Alf Stewart. So only Australians, or probably English people, they probably know who Alf Stewart is as well. But I can't imagine anyone in America would know who Alf Stewart is. A regular character on a show called Home and Away we have here. And he, incidentally, if you're, just to give you an idea with Home and Away, it is the breeding ground of a lot of now famous actors and actresses. What's his name? Chris Hemsworth got his start on Home and Away. So, and he has done rather well for himself. Look how yucky this is. Oh yes, sorry, I was fabric. I wasn't sure what you're talking about. This is stuff called solder wick. You'll find links to it in the description. It's basically braided copper. And it's got some flux impregnated in it, and when you apply heat to it, solder is drawn to it. So it's a way of getting solder off. And it all seems kind of silly here that I'm putting solder on and then just taking it off again. But putting that new solder on is part of that cleaning process. And so I do the cleaning, and then I take the solder off, and then it's all ready for me to put new solder and new caps on. I just want to try and get as much of this blackening off as I can. I mean, I'm not going to go ridiculously silly with it. But, you know, that blackening there, that's corrosion of the copper. See, the thing is, copper oxidizes really easily. You get copper and you leave it out to the elements, let it get exposed to the elements, it will corrode. It will oxidize. And so that's why you have UV mask. UV solder mask on the copper here, and so if I expose any copper, I need to do one of two things to it. I need to either tin it, that's basically putting solder on it, I've just done there, ow, 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 or I need to paint it with some UV solder mask so they can keep the air out. Keep the air out. How are these ones looking? Clean these ones up. Look at all of that coming off. All that screen printing and mask coming off and just leaving behind that dark, ugly oxidized copper. So one of the things that I'm going to be looking at 3D printing soon with my 3D printer are going to be some little holders that I can use to store the stuff. Every time I work on a person's computer here, they often provide me with RAM or ROM or batteries or battery covers and stuff like that. And I need to take them off when I work on it. The moment I take them off, I put them in a Ziploc bag. But I've got nowhere to put those Ziploc bags. I need some sort of storage compartment. I'm going to find a spot for it somewhere here. So when I take them off, I put them in a Ziploc bag and then I pop that into the holder. And one of the things I do like about 3D printers is the way you can do really practical things with them. Did you just hear Sandstorm by Darude? No, I don't think so. What's that? I'm not sure if I know that. I don't know what a Darude is. I'm old. But I do sometimes sing little tunes, little ditties. Sometimes they are actual songs, and sometimes they're just me doing nonsense. Oh, look at it's chipped. Look at this scalpel. It's chipped. Now I'm unhappy. Can't scrape with the chipped scalpel. The rest of it's sharp. Oh, it's the fume extractor. Okay. Because I've got a fan behind me as well. The fans on the Ultrasonic are on. Ow. Yeah, big cranking fans that I got behind me there, 240 volt ones. They go. They go. I'd like to actually attach them to my 3D printer. Okay, we've now got a nice fresh scalpel, so we'll get nice pretty scrapies. Where's Steve? What's going on? He's been enjoying his victory with his repaired Macs. For anyone who didn't watch Steve's stream earlier today, and if anyone is wondering, who the hell is Steve? Steve from Mac84, who's usually in the chat. I don't know why he's not here today. It's disgraceful. What? Pigeons. He did a stream earlier today where he was doing, I think, part 2, possibly even part 3 of a Macintosh Classic that he's been working on, and he got it working. Sorry, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. He got it working. And then he did some work on, I think, a Color Classic. I didn't get to see that, unfortunately. Scrapey. See how ugly this is? See how black it is? Yuck. You cheeky thing. It's raining outside, so I think they're coming in here for shelter. Pigeons, that is. They don't look too crash hot, do they? And these are basically vias that go through to the other side. And, well, to be quite frank, some of them don't look like they go through to the other side. Yeah, I should put guards on them, but I can't do that. Right. Oh, we'd all be dancing to country music right now. Hang on. Hey, what? We certainly wouldn't be dancing to country music in this country. I'm not saying that there is no country music scene here, but it's certainly nothing like it is in the US. I haven't even looked to see if this is a hole on the other side. And I think I got my answer. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, well, that's why. It's just got blocked up the solder. Yeah. Yeah, that was the one that had hot glue snot all over it. Now, I have to admit, when I saw that Steve melted the hot glue rather than just plucking it off and taking the cap with it, I was like, you're mad. So, anyhow. But he got it off, because basically what had happened with that one was a really interesting one, because someone had tried to replace the caps, and when they couldn't get the cap to stay, they used hot glue to hold it in place. Now, that in itself, there's nothing really that wrong with that, but it's mainly just that it didn't have proper contact in the first place. So then when you put the hot glue on, you're still not making contact. But of course, the other thing was there were busted traces all over the place with that one. All over. I'm just looking for one of my... oh, wow, it's got super glue on it. That's no good. I make these little board stabbery thingies like this. I take a regular everyday needle, and then I file them down with a Dremel until they're thin enough to go through a via, and then I can just poke goo out, because we've got to get rid of our goo. So now I probably don't need to do what I'm about to do, but you know, this is me, and I like to be thorough. Crazy Tech Reviews. Hello there, Logan. How are you? I hope you are well. Right, let's feed this through. I'm doing a little bit of sewing with this here. I'm gonna rub up and down and up and down. Via poker. Well, as I think it was you that said it one time, Dana, where I built it. I made that little pokery thing, and you said, "Did you create that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, it's a Brankus creation then." Woohoo! You thing with swear words. There we go. Right. Okay. 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 Right. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Come on. Thank you. Don't make me upset. Couldn't use a thumbtack to poke through. Not by a long way. If I put a thumbtack under this microscope and you could see what size it was, you would. I can't even put the lead of a resistor through these holes. I mean, I probably have just a standard needle here, so isn't a sewing needle. One that I haven't turned into a via poker. I don't think I do. I think these are all... Oh no, here's a standard needle. So keep in mind, this is a needle, a sewing needle, as in the sort of thing that you can stab into yourself and do some damage with if you wanted to. But okay, so that's the thickness of a needle there. So if I try and get that through the via there, it's like, nah, just get the tip in, but nothing else. Don't say it, Jay. Just clearing off a little bit of this mask, so I've got something to solder these onto, just to give them a little bit of added strength. This is this wire that I'm using. It has a coating on it, but applying the heat that I'm applying here makes that coating melt, and then everything's fine. Solder sticks to it. That's a lot of solder. There we go. That'll do. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of a snippety snoop on that. Oh, like that. And a little snippety snoop on that. And we have made our little repair. Just got to solder it from the other side now. Okay. We'll try and get by without you, Jay. It won't be easy. Right. Think a bit down. Okay, coating this with a little bit of solder, and then I'll clean it up with some of the wick. I don't need this much solder on here. Wickety whack. I go through a lot of solder wick, by the way. Thankfully, I can buy it from my local electronics store, which is about a half an hour, maybe so, walk away. If I drive there, it's only like 5 minutes away, but I do like to walk there sometimes to get a little bit of exercise. It's about K and a half, something like that. No! Away! Okay. Looking good. Like it. A little bit out of focus. Bryce, hello, welcome to the live stream. Right, so these, as bad as they look, are pretty much ready for the new caps to go on. The main thing I have to make sure is when I put the new cap along here, that I don't touch the, what do you call it, the pin. That's the word I was looking for. That's a complex word, isn't it, boys and girls? I don't get the pin running across there. I might even put a little bit of UV solder mask on there, just to be prudent. Yeah, these pigeons are amazing. I think it's to do with the weather. I'm not sure, but a little bit colder outside and wet. But yeah, they've just been coming in constantly, and they look at me and they go, "Oh, probably shouldn't be here." Yeah, that's gone. That's gone. That's a goner. Words are hard sometimes. Not to mention the fact that I am old. And my brain doesn't work as well as it used to. Yeah, that's completely eaten away there. I've not seen this level of damage on these. Didn't look that bad. Okay, so now I've got my UV solder mask. I'm going to get my paintbrush. And then I'll get my laser beam. Pew, pew. Pew, Han Solo. This brush is in a sad, sorry state, isn't it? I wonder if I can clean it up some. What? What? You're supposed to be scared of me. What the hell? Wait. Ooh. Bernie, yeah. Bernie's been spending a lot more time out there with the other chooks. I mean, she'll still come in at a particular time. So what time is it? Once it starts to get dark, so, you know, at the moment it's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, she'll generally come in here if the door is open because she wants to sleep here. She always wants to sleep in this shed rather than the coop. She likes to perch herself up on my microscope. And it is very, very important that I make sure she does not do that. Because if she does sit there, and in particular if she sits there for a length of time, I will end up with stuff on my bench that I do not want. I think we all know what I'm talking about. That's nice. Nice work. You're not that old, I think. I'm pretty old. I mean, I'm old enough to forget some words from time to time. I mean, you know, within reason. My recall isn't as quick as it was once upon a time. We miss Bernie. I miss Bernie coming in here as well. It was good fun. I guess it's just because she's getting older. You know, when she was younger, she probably found a bit of comfort coming in here. But you know, she's kind of found her place in the flock now. You know, because obviously the term pecking order. I mean, the chickens definitely have a pecking order, and she has found her place in it. So she's a lot happier to hang out there now with her own kind. Alright, so that's the UV mask, I think, dry enough. Keeping in mind this board will be ultrasonically cleaned when I'm finished. Now this is where we have... Oh, I forgot to take one off. What kind of idiot does that? This kind. Capacitor. Right. Okay. Well, we're past that embarrassment now. Let's get back to the job at hand. Fluxify this. If anyone is watching this and is not sure what the story is with flux, I have a beginner's guide to soldering electronics video on my channel, which is up at around about 300,000 views now, which is, I think, pretty darn amazing. I'm sort of flabbergasted, but anyhow. I give a fairly detailed explanation in that as to why we use flux for soldering, what purpose it serves. Cloning. Got a little bit more room to move here, which is nice. When I'm doing this, I'm being very, very gentle with these pads. And if I apply too much force, I'm going to damage them and tear them off. And that we do not want. Oh yes, smash that like button please, or as I sometimes say, smash that like button. Coming this summer. Looking good. I love the way that smoke gets sucked up into the fume extractor and not into my face. I have been very bad with my pre-recorded videos. I have a huge, I think probably the biggest problem I have is that the two videos that I have on the go at the moment are huge. They're big videos with a lot going on, and so they've taken me a long time. I've got one that's like about 85% complete. I've just got a little bit to do, but it just, oh God, it uses so much time. But I'm sick of making excuses. Oh, that sounds like my lease is done. Ding, Fraser done. Ding, Fraser done. So, looking at this board, this Caddy drive, which was sold at a premium price, but not recapped, you can do only one thing, and you scream up into the sky, shaking your fist, Goldman! Oh, gotta tell you this. Ow, that hurts. What era this year lived in so many mixed SMD and through-hole components? Does this have lead solder from the factory? I think it probably does, just based on the speed with which the original solder melted. I'm pretty sure it is leaded, but I wouldn't want to gamble on it. Wouldn't want to bet on it. So an Apple IIe card sold recently. So for anyone out there who's into the old vintage Mac stuff, an Apple IIe card was a little card that would plug into an LC PDS, or processor direct slot. That's PDS, not product disclosure statement. PDS, processor direct slot. And it allowed you to get like something like an LC to be an Apple II. Very nifty. Nice little trick. Anyhow, one of those sold on eBay here in Australia for over $400. You know, crikey. And how stupid does that make me feel, knowing that in the early 2000s I sold one? Should have kept it. Should have kept it. Fool. You shouldn't get rid of things like that. If you think there's any chance you might want to use it again in the future. Oh, my guess is Drake 9800. You have posted a link, but unfortunately, you can't post a link without the admin status or mod status on this. It won't let you post a link. Scrapey scrapey. So links only work to Amazon homepage. Are you saying that you clicked on a product link, then it just took you to the Amazon homepage rather than showing you an actual product? Would that be a correct assumption of what you're actually saying there? If that is the case, I would be interested to know which one. It is possible that one of the recommendations I've made is gone now. It does happen. There are sellers that kind of come and go on Amazon. One of the things that I actually don't like about Amazon, but you know, it's sort of the fact they do have that, affiliate links. They do have everything. Almost everything. They don't have much here in Australia. It was quite funny when Amazon first came to this country, they locked out Australians from being able to buy from Amazon US. And there was such a huge uproar because the Australian store had nothing like the range of things available as the US store. And so they were like, well, look, you can block us from using this US one when it's your, you know, what you've set up here is a suitable replacement. But until then, we need to be able to access the US store because the Australian store isn't good enough. And they listened and they did it. Oh, trying to see the camera on the microscope. Oh, that link's not working, isn't it? Oh, that's a pain. It is an HC, H for Harold, C for Charlie, 210. I'm sure the other day when someone asked Steve about his camera, he said 120. Has he got a 120? I thought he had the same as me. It's a budget camera. It has HDMI output or USB, so you can either run it like a webcam, like I'm doing at the moment. This is just plugged straight into the computer and then OBS is just taking that picture. Or you can actually output it to HDMI, but you can't do both at the same time. So I can't look at an HDMI output and a USB output. It all works on whether, if you plug it in via a USB cable, a data USB cable, it will send the picture down the data line. If you plug it in via a powered USB cable with the data lines cut, it'll output HDMI. And you need to output to HDMI in order to alter the settings on the camera, because you can't bring up the menu on the USB. It's probably way more explanation than was required, but never mind. Ding, project done. Ding, project done. I gotta run. I gotta run. All right. Well, as bad as it looks, I think we're looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. The camera, by the way, is made by Amscope, the same people that make the microscope. Make the microscope. It's, I mean, it isn't. It's someone else's guts, and they've just put it into their own little package. I'll get some more solder off here. How many people have I got watching here? Considering I didn't... 18. That's actually not bad, all things considered, considering it's like nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and considering that I didn't send any notification out other than just the YouTube notification. I didn't do any of the like... what are those things called? You know, like Facebooks, your socials. Didn't do any notifications on the socials. None of that. Oh, thank you, Jay. See a lot of names here tonight for those you're not familiar with. New names, yes. I actually see quite a few new names here as well. So So hello to everyone. If you are new here, I'm always happy to chat and say good day and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, if you're watching this because you are familiar with my work, whether it be from my sort of soldering work or whether it be my vintage Mac work or my time on the Mac Yak crew, where we get together on a weekly basis and yak about Mac stuff. Because it is a different time slot here to when I would normally stream. Right. So now I'm going to put a little bit of mask on here. Now I wouldn't normally put mask on unless it's something that I'm concerned about creating an accidental short. So just looking here, that's probably okay. That's probably okay. That's probably okay. I might just do a bit here, a bit here. What do we got? That's going from there to there. That should be alright. I'll just paint over this stuff. The replacement caps that are going to put on, they actually have larger pins than the original caps. So they can hang over the edge. And of course, if over the edge we have some exposed copper from the other side of the cap, we end up creating ourselves a nice juicy short. And I like to avoid that. It's a very common problem with recapping. I did actually see that on Steve Mac 84's stream recently. He had one where the cap had actually hung over the edge and was creating a short. Can't even remember what the computer was now. And this UV solder mask, you can basically dry it with any sort of UV light. The different types of lights take different amount of time. If you use the great big UV light in the sky, it dries really quickly. The problem is that it's cloudy outside, so I won't be doing that today. I'll be using my laser beam. So it is a little handheld laser pointer thing, the same sort that you would have as a sort of laser pointer for, you know, doing presentations and stuff. But it actually outputs UV light rather than the normal sort of red or green light that those ones have. And the great thing about the UV laser is it dries the stuff really quickly. Which is good because I'm having to put so much on here. Well, it's still a bit dirty there. I might clean that up a bit. It's almost midnight here in US Maryland. So is that... my apologies for my geography. Is that Central Time? Or is that Western? I'm pretty good with Eastern because all of the Yanks that I chat to are all Eastern. Okay. Please point the laser at the camera to properly demonstrate. I will not be doing that. I will not be doing that, Mr. House of Moth. I will not be doing that thing you just mentioned. For anyone who doesn't know the backstory there, I, just for a little bit of fun one day, decided to point the UV laser at my webcam, and I left little marks on it. I was none too pleased, I can tell you that. Especially at a time when webcams were going for obscene amounts of money. Okay. Well, I think that's enough painting for now. Let's move on to drying. You wouldn't have seen any of that because it's off camera. Sorry, I do see more in my eyepiece than you see on the camera, and that's basically because I'm looking through a excuse me, a big circle, and you're looking through a rectangle. So I've got all this extra space up the top and bottom. Oh, it's Eastern, is it? Is it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, it is too. Didn't even bother to do the maths. I thought it would be much later Eastern, so. It's basically 8 hours forward and a day behind. So add 8 hours and subtract 24. That's how I figure out Eastern time. And then I know it's the Central time is like an hour, another hour, and then Western is another hour again. "91 miles from Washington, D.C. So I'm in Sydney, just for anyone who's interested. Yep, and it's currently just about to turn 4 p.m. And it's wet and cold. I mean, cold. I mean, Sydney cold. I'm not talking about, you know, I'm not talking about other people's version of cold. It's 19 degrees Celsius here, so that for me, for summer, is freaking cold. Nate, how are you going? Nate Tronerud. And Bill G, hello. So for anyone who's just joining, we're working on a CD300 CD-ROM drive, Caddy loading CD-ROM drive that have capacitor leakage. This is one of the reasons why when you're dealing with some computers, you can just end up getting the full whammy. You know, if you've got a computer that has surface mount electrolytic caps on the logic board, has a Caddy loaded CD-ROM drive, and has a manual inject floppy drive, you can end up having to recap everything on the thing. Everything. Oh, and of course the power supply as well, of course. Of course, that goes without saying. But it definitely brings the point home better if you do so. You can see that as it starts to dry, it starts to go a bit more of a matte finish rather than being all shiny. I'm probably not meant to be looking at this with my nude eyes. I probably should be wearing like UV sunglasses or something. But, you know, throw caution to the wind. Live for today, not for tomorrow. I don't believe any of that. Nice Saturday. I'm going out tomorrow. It's a shame. I mean, I'm going out to see people I want to see. It's going to be fun, but I'd rather just veg at home. Check my 600E. It stopped opening recently. The 600, not so much of a problem. It's a tray loading one. They don't have leaky surface mount electrolytic caps from memory, but they do often have problems with, you know, belts and gears and stuff like that. So, you know. I think that's enough. What do you reckon? Is that enough? Yeah. Let's put some caps on this sucker. Pop a cap in his ass. Minus 22C last week. No, 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 no. No. Nah. Do not like that. I'm in Sydney and it is generally warm here. Surface mount electrolytic capacitors. That's grab those. I keep my surface mount electrolytic capacitors in a container like this. It's probably not the best. Oh, I grabbed the electrolytic. I'm dumb. Tantalum. Tantalum. That's what I want. Tantalum. So I started off when I only had a few caps. I just started putting them in these containers, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 of these containers. Right. So, I've got my guide here. Let's have a look at my guide and we'll see what we have. We have two 10 microfarad, 16 V. Let's start with those. These are the same size caps that you would find on a Macintosh too, by the way. Not Macintosh 2, Macintosh as well. I mean, yes, you will find it on a Macintosh 2. Actually, will you find a 1016? I think on a Macintosh 2 that one might actually be an axial cap. Alright. It's really not important. Right, let's get here and do some things and some stuff. Now I've got my lovely shiny new pads. The new cap will go on nice and easily. If you're sticking something down and solder is not sticking, there are 3 causes for that. The first is it's not clean. So you need to clean it, make sure it's clean for solder to adhere. That's the first thing. The second is it's not hot enough. So if your soldering iron is not getting hot enough, that could be the reason there as well. And then the third reason, which I was hoping I would remember before I got to it, is flux. Oxidization, essentially. Solder, once it melts, or solder, you know, when it melts, there's flux in the center of this, and it melts. Then after a while, it oxidizes. And as it oxidizes, it won't adhere very well. It won't create a good connection. So that's why we use flux. We use flux to kind of halt that oxidization process. Now this is a tantalum cap replacing a surface mount electrolytic. Surface mount electrolytics have a stripe on them, and the stripe is pointing to the negative side, whereas tantalum's the stripe is pointing to the positive side. Now here's a funny thing. I worked on a display card the other day. Weirdest thing happened. I was replacing a surface mount electrolytic capacitor that had the stripe on the positive side. And it really messed me up because when I put the new cap on and I powered it up, it exploded. Pew! So I did a live stream, I think it was last week, can't remember. And I did it just for my close friends. I did it without monetization. I did it with a private link, and I did it with large amounts of cursing. And it was kind of a shame because 2 really exciting things happened during the stream. I went for 5 hours for starters, but I blew up 2 capacitors during the live stream. One of them I blew up because I put it on the wrong way, and the other one I blew up because it was old. And the one that was old, it was fantastic. I mean, sparks just went flying, and it was amazing. And I'm sorry that no one got to see that other than my close friends, but yeah. It's a good job that it wasn't live streamed because my goodness, the words that came out of my mouth when that thing blew up make a sailor blush. Okay. Oopsie. Now, I did get 2 out, didn't I? Yeah, here is the other one. I do sometimes have capacitors go missing, as I've said before. It's because of the capacitor fairies. Now, which way around does this one go? Screen printing's gone. Positive on the left-hand side. Oh no, I can see it. There's that bevel. See the bevel there? That's the bevel showing the positive side. Hello from Russia. I am not going to attempt to pronounce your name because it is using letters from the alphabet that are not in my alphabet. Is it Anik? But no, I really don't know. Really don't know. Is your website from the best place? Is your website form the best place to organise a recapping for an LC3? It is. There is a slight issue at the moment. First of all, Lazy Jones, can I just ask, are you in Australia, or are you talking about sending it to me from another country? But yes, the form is still active, even though at the moment I'm not really taking on new work because I have got myself into a predicament where I have got so much work on at the moment of all different types. I'm just not getting through enough of the recapping. Generally, I'm getting about probably 10 recapping requests a week, and I just can't get through that many. I've got so much of my normal day-to-day work that I'm really only getting to recap on the weekends, and there's just a limit to how many I can do, particularly when I get ones that, you know, I recap them and they're still not working. I have to go in and I have to do diagnosis, and I might have to spend 3 or 4 hours on it, and there goes half the day, and no more recapping. What I try and do is I try and keep the easy ones going. I try and just do as many of the easy ones as I can, and then push the problem ones to one side. But once you push them to one side for a certain amount of time, the next thing you know, you're making people angry. They're contacting you going, hey, you know, why isn't this done? And I have to explain to them that because the amount of time I have to spend on it, it's lost its place in the queue. And that's, you know, I mean, I can understand people getting a little bit upset about that. So anyhow, that was a long answer, wasn't it? Right, now we need some 100 microfarads 6.3. Actually, we've got 4716s. Let's put those on next. They're another very common Mac cap size. You submitted the form already. I assume you're busy. Yes. Okay, so if you have submitted the form already, yes, that's good. I will get to it eventually. You're in Adelaide. No problem at all. Yep. As I say, I have been getting quite a few requests from overseas. And that does become a little bit more complicated because what people often end up doing is they send me more than one, or because of the nature of this work that I do, they send me one that's in a really bad shape. Most of the time, people only send me stuff from overseas if they're sending me an absolute train wreck. Whereas if it's just a straight recapping of something like an LC3, which of course, you know, I mean, LC3 is quite an enjoyable one to recap, in my opinion. So yeah, look, I will get on to that, and I'll reply to you, and then you can get that sent to me because I am actually starting to get through the backlog, which is good. Come on, there you go. Thank you. So what do we got? 47. Oh, I nearly made the rookie mistake putting that on the spot where it's not meant to be. Rookie. So this is meant to be empty. So, you know, come on, Bruce. It's only just started leaking. It's in good shape otherwise. Excellent. Good stuff. Yes, the LC3s aren't too bad. There are some real shockers out there to recap. I can tell you one that I get scared about working on nowadays, and that is the 840 AV. And it's not necessarily because there are a lot of caps or anything like that. It's because the 840 AV has really bad little tiny traces that break really easily. Generally, what is it? The LC2, I think, is that the one that's got... The LC1 and LC2 have got loads and loads of capacitors on them. So's the one of the classic 2s. Got like 13 caps. What? Do you want to be my friend? What? What? They're very healthy, these pigeons around here, because they keep stealing all my chickens' food, and I feed the chickens really well. Okay. Don't! I cannot believe how gutsy these pigeons are sometimes. If anyone ever has any questions, please please feel free to ask. Other than why haven't you recapped my board yet? I've been getting a lot of that lately, but I am working my way through it. The worst is when I get like say 3 boards sent to me, and 2 of them are a quick easy fix, and then one of them is a really slow fix, and I end up with, you know, like these 2 boards just sort of sitting there waiting for the other one to get done. Right, that looks okay. We'll do this one down here. I'm going to need to change tips because we're right hard up against this inductor here, and I'm going to have trouble getting my soldering iron tip in there. So I'm going to change over to a curved conical. Anyone who knows me knows that I do not like using conical tips, but this curved conical works quite well for getting heat into tight spots. It's gone. Pigeon's gone. So, yeah, so basically what happens is I try as hard as I can to make it so that I'm only feeding my birds and not feeding the pigeons, but it's virtually impossible. So here's my curved conical tip. So it comes to a point at the end, but it has this curve on it. That allows me to lay it flat on the board and get heat where I want it. So I can squeeze this, no, not that way. I can squeeze this in here, a bit of solder on it. Solder you thing. It's not salt. There we go. There we go. There we go. Away. Right, so there's... I did that one, didn't I? Yep. So that's 5 we've put on. And then these ones here are all 100 microfarad 6.3. And I am so hoping that I still have some little ones left. I only need 2 little ones. Did I put them somewhere else? I'm a little bit upset now. Have I put them somewhere else? 100 microfarad. I do have another container. Maybe because I cleaned this up recently, and I think I separated all the sizes, but it is also possible that I don't have any little ones left. And if I don't have any little ones left, I'm going to cry. Where's the second one? Where are the rest? Where are the rest? Here we go. Surface mount tantalum container number 2. Oh, 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 oh. Ooh. Happy, happy joy. Okay, so here we have a tantalum capacitor with 107, and that tells us 10 with 7 zeros after it. So essentially it's 1 with 8 zeros, and that's in picofarads? Nanofarads, which it's like was 100 million or something like that, and there's 1 million nanofarads in 1 microfarad, I think. And so I know that this is 100 microfarad. So I am guessing none of that made any sense. That's what we're here for. confuse. So both of these are positive across to the right hand side. Let's get some flux on here. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. What happened here? Tell you what happened there. I knocked the resistor off. We had better deal with that. I wonder if I can just hit this with a little bit of hot air really quickly. Yay, didn't melt anything. I might just clean up those pads quickly. Oh dear, still got this stupid tip. Stupid. Yeah, we do need a pigeon cam, don't we? But, you know, I like to actually not have cameras in other parts of this shed so that I can maintain the illusion like it's like a really fancy shed and not just rubbish shed. As in, I mean, full of rubbish. Or trash. Stupid. Oh, for flying out loud. Stupid conical tip. I'm only keeping this conical tip on because I think I might end up needing it for some of the close work in between here. But I'd really like to be gone. I think they'll put that on upside down as well, but it doesn't matter. Resistor still works upside down. Okay, do you just send the boards back like this, or is there some kind of cleaning involved? I do clean them with an ultrasonic cleaner. So I have an ultrasonic cleaner here behind me. I actually have two of them. I have a big one here and I have a little one over there that you can't see. The little one is a 10-litre ultrasonic cleaner. This one here is, I think, about 22 litres, but this one is shallow and wide. So this is for my really big boards. So because I'm putting all of this flux on and gunk and there's a lot of residual corrosion and yucky stuff, every time I work on a board, I always clean it before sending it back to the customer. So I drop the board in an ultrasonic cleaner, which always seems fairly counterintuitive. You're sort of like, hey, this is electronics and you're going to submerge it in liquid? What's all that about? Obviously, you don't want to switch things on when they're wet, but as long as you get these things very dry afterwards. Sorry, there's... Oh, I think it might be a baby bird. Never mind. Yeah, as long as you get it well dry afterwards, you know, cleaning stuff in liquid gets things very, very clean. So yes, I use an ultrasonic cleaner. I use an ultrasonic cleaning liquid in that, so it's essentially just water mixed with a type of detergent. I use a detergent specifically designed for electronics. It's designed so that it will clean away things like flux and dirt and stuff like that, but it won't do any damage to electronics, any of these plastics, solder. You know, it's gentle on those things. So yeah, so that's what I do, and I do that with every board that comes my way, with some exceptions. There are some types of boards that you wouldn't necessarily ultrasonic clean, or you would try and avoid it if at all possible. The electrons will fall out. That's what's his name, David Jones from is that it? David Jones from EEV blog. The electrons will fall out. Right, that's enough of that stupid tip. Now it's time for the nice tip. This is my beveled edge tip. I like to use beveled edges because... Oh, what is that noise? Oh, I know what that noise is. I see what it is. It's a young pigeon. It's asking for food from its parents, and they're going, piss off! You're old enough to fend for yourself. Just needing to get this at a particular angle to get my iron in there, so... Miss or sorry? Okay. Not super crash on. I'm just going to change views here very quickly. And you're going to get to see my bald head. And just want to come at this straight down. There we go. Yeah, it's fine. It's not the most beautiful of solder joints, but it's alright. Oh, excuse me. If it damages the electronics, they will barely hang on anyway, right? Yeah. I don't even know if this drive would have actually worked in the first place. Right, so now we're going to get... I can use full-size caps for this one. I'll save my little ones for the next one of these that comes along. I've got enough space to use full-size. So once again, 100 microfarad 6.3. All the three cap sizes on this, even though it's a Sony device, they are the same sizes you will find on most of the Macs. So you know, if you've done a few Mac recaps, you've probably got these caps in stock. How many people here in the chat have actually done their own recapping? Just curious about that. And of the people who haven't done their own recapping, how many are thinking about doing their own recapping? Okay, that's good, both boards, yeah, cool. Yeah, Jay's done a few. I know Jay's done a few. He has an incredible level of contempt for the beige world, but I know he has done a few recaps. Sometimes in our group chat, Jay might have found something interesting to do with vintage Macs, and he'll just announce in the group chat, "Hey, beige people." There's something I wanted to do, but I forgot what it was. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, it's done. It's all good. All right, so that's it. This is recapped. Oh, hello, Mike. Welcome to the stream. Every time I think about recapping something, I get a headache. So I just think that then I'll give it to Steve and make it his problem. Yes, as I've seen you do before. So, all right, here we go. Look, I've missed a bit of chat here. I better scroll up. Okay. I haven't blown anything up today, Mike. Sorry about that. 386 board with minor batter corrosion. I assume that's battery corrosion. Yeah. Nathan has recapped his Classic 2 recently. Excellent. Both boards. Too many max. Okay. Beige people, beigos, beige weirdos. Yeah, that's us. Dells and automated clusters, not so many caps mostly. MOSFETs on the Dells and driver motors, yep. Reflowing hundreds of cold solder joints, yep, I hear you on that one. I've got one that's going to need that today if I get to it. Have you ever seen a koala Mac Vision? Koala Mac Vision. Can you describe to me what a koala Mac Vision is? Because I might have. Aren't we all weirdos in some way or another? Yes, we definitely are. Someone's tried making cookies. Go away. I'm obviously doing a fairly good job of keeping the food away from the pigeons at the moment because they're really hanging around today. So this is recapped. This isn't really something worth testing in a big way. Oh, I've gone out of sync. There we go. That's a bit better. Oh, look at that, Mike. Thank you. I better give Mike a plug. Everyone, check out Mike's Mac Shack, Mike's channel. Mike does his own live streams, and they are good. Yeah, no, he does all sorts of stuff. I mean, he doesn't work just with Macs. He works with PCs, and he's got some really interesting equipment. He loves insulting people. No, I'm just joking, of course. So yes, definitely check out Mike's Mac Shack. Jump on there and subscribe. He could use the subscribers. I'm quite happy to share some of mine if they're interested. So, and of course I should also mention while I'm here, Apple serial number info. If Jay, you would like to put a link into Apple serial number info. If you've got a Mac and you want to look up the serial number, you type it in there and it will bring up a lot of information about that Mac. And if it's not there, if it comes up and says, I can't find your serial number, you have the option to go in there, give some information about the computer that serial number came from, which will make it so that it's there for the next person. So there you go. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if I would be able to censor myself if something like that blew up. I mean, most of the time I just go, ugh. But I'll tell you what, when that capacitor blew up the other day, I mean, that was just profanity central. So Apple serial number, everyone please visit that website and have a look. And on the landing page is a viewer poll, or when a visitor poll, you get to choose your favorite computer from a selection of 4 there. And what you should do is go there and vote for the Mac 2. It was the Mac 2, wasn't it? I think it was. Vote for the Mac 2. Vote for the Mac 2. Mac 2, everyone vote for the Mac 2. Because the Mac 2 is cool. I actually like all of them, but I just like the Mac 2 more than the others. There we go. We've got a Mac 2. We've got a 2009 iMac 24-inch. We've got a 2009 Mac Mini. And we've got a 2015... excuse me. 2015 MacBook Air. That's, incidentally, for anyone who doesn't know, Jay loves the MacBook Air. It's his favourite computer. At the moment, the Macintosh 2 is actually coming along quite well. Okay. So, I'm going to clean this. It's got to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. Normally what I do is I'd put it all together and test it for folks, but I'm really not sure I'm going to do that because testing a CD-ROM drive is just boring. Who wants to test a CD-ROM drive? Who wants... Right. I'm going to put the lid back on my ultrasonic cleaner here, and I'm going to use this as a shelf temporarily because that's what I do. Now we're going to have a look at a board that's been drying out while I've been doing my live stream. And what we have here, looky what we have here. Right, let's just move this microscope out of the way. Let's get my fume extractor out of the way. Microscope out of the way, out of the way, out of the way. It's my top-down view. And I am going to loosen my belt. Okay. Where was I? I better change the writing here. Okay. So, I/O, standing for input output. This is a Lisa I/O board. And that's B-O-A-R-D, not B-O-R-E-D, which is how you might feel watching this live stream. Okay. Yeah, yawns are very... Oh, you can catch yawns just reading about yawns. Did you know that? I don't know why I'm so tired. Okay. When do you think iMac G3s will require a recap? Next 5 years. iMac G3s already require recaps in the power supply, I hate to tell you. I have seen it. I don't work on them though, unfortunately, so if anyone wants to get them fixed up, I'm sorry, but I am not your guy. I don't have space for G3s. They're just too big. Alright. Oh, okay, look, I mean, I should just leave this out of the way for a minute. We'll just have a look at this. So this is an I/O board from Elisa, and the way it works is inside the Elisa there's a board which is flat on the base, and then this slots into it that way. There's kind of like a cage type thing. It slides down the cage, and you lock that in position, and it makes contact with these. As you can see, these kind of look like contacts off an old Apple IIe board, for anyone who's old enough to know what they look like. So this Lisa works. I should mention that you can start it up, you can load up the system, and you can use it. But it does have a few quirky problems, and I believe they are related to some corrosion, some trace damage on this, which we're going to try and deal with here. But the first thing I did was gave it an ultrasonic clean, because I wanted to make sure that if there were any bits of corrosion sort of just hanging on, I want to get rid of them, and then we'll inspect it. Can catch yawns. Definitely can catch yawns. There's no doubt about that. And you can, as I say, you can prove it yourself. I read an article on it by, it was a little scientific study, which I can't even remember who did it, but and of course what they were saying in it was this whole article, and it explained the whole thing behind the yawns and all that sort of stuff. And then they got to the end, and they said, there is a very good chance that while you were reading this, you yourself have yawned 3 or 4 times. And it was very true. I was sitting there reading the thing and I yawned. I had been yawning right through it because it was talking about yawning. And it's a really interesting thing. It's interesting study. I don't actually have the reference to it, I'm afraid. I could send a link to it. But it was a study that someone had done on yawns, and their yawn's purpose, and why people do yawn when you see someone else yawn. So yeah, it's interesting. Right, straight off the bat, this doesn't look very nice. We've got a little bit of corrosion there. Scrapey scrape, still got contact, that's good. Okay. As you can see, that this particular contact got worn out to the point that I've ended up tinning it with some new solder. This board is big, which is annoying me. What's all that about? Was that resistor there before? Why is it not there? I tell you what does definitely need recaps, G5s, the G5 iMacs. I swear I'm going to end up feeding that pigeon. It's driving me bananas. Sorry, just talk amongst yourselves. Right. Okay. So yeah, G5 iMac, which people are very, very critical of, and the reason why they're critical of them is because they're so throttled because the G5 generated so much heat in order to put it into that thin white case. They had to throttle them. They had to bring the speed down, and which is all very true. But at the same time, I do actually quite like the G5 iMac. Just from a design perspective, the way they looked, on that, in the all-in-one sort of white case there like that, and the way they come apart. I don't know if anyone's ever worked on one. The way the back comes off and everything, they're very good. They're very modular inside. Everything's sectioned off. They're quite nice. But I have two of them that I got for free that I don't want. But I'm just tempted to recap them and get them working again. They take a lot of caps. Okay. Just a second. Sorry. Right. So, the whole reason I grabbed my phone in the first place is because I took a photo of this board. So I want to have a look at this board. Look at this board, the photo that I took, and see if that capacitor, that resistor was there, or whether it might have fallen off. No, it definitely wasn't there. So now I have to find out whether it's meant to be there and what it's meant to be. Good old R47. Because, I mean, it looks like it's possibly been snipped. I mean, put it this way, that didn't fall off by itself. So that's a bit interesting. How on earth am I going to find out what that's meant to be there? If it's meant to be there. Anyone got a Lisa they can take a photo of? Now this is, that's okay, that's from a battery that was here. Battery backup, which is not here. Was here? Could be here. So I'm just looking over for anything that looks a little bit sus, looks like it may not be making decent contact. Anything that looks like it's got trace rot. I mean, I swear I saw something that had trace rot. Let me have a look at this photo again. Yeah, up here. That's not too bad, actually. See a little bit of blackening there. Yeah. Yes, this is very true. It's the only person I know with Elisa as well, and yeah, I'm working on it. Oh! Hello! This, my friends, is why we look. So let's get this in focus. Focus! You need to focus. Yep. Ding, 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 ding. So, it's time for trace repair time. We like trace repair time. First thing we do is we expose that copper. And we get some flux on there, and I will typically get some solder onto this trace first. There we go. Now we're looking good. Fold sticking to it. And I'll just get all the excess off. Okay. Bill, with the info, switching to Twiggy mode activates the R47 resistor and also access the proper Lisa 1 DROM. Switch back to Sony drive. Gold. That's exactly why it's off, because that makes sense the way the person is using this. So thank you. Thank you very much for that information. That is most informational. These are fat. Very fat traces. So will I put a fat piece of wire on it? Yes, I will. Here's my fat piece of wire. The Brankus ounce. I'd rather keep it to something metric. I love messing with people with old units of measure and stuff like that. Someone says to you, oh, you know, how far away is it? And you say, oh, it's about a furlong. I need more solder. Oh yes, thank you, Oz RetroComp, for the for that. Got 10,000 last weekend. I think it happened on Saturday night. I think I went to bed on Saturday night with like 5 left to get or something, and woke up with 10k on Sunday morning. So my time, that is. Yeah, it's fun. It's all a bit of fun. I mean, I never really expected to get that many, but I'm not complaining. I haven't been spending as much time on the YouTube channel lately as I would like, but that's mainly because I've just been so busy. Right, let's get rid of the excess here. I once had someone say to me, oh, you really shouldn't cut those afterwards. You should cut them before you put them on. I like to cut them afterwards. Oh wow, that's not even on. Good to check. I just like to cut them afterwards, so there. Probably shouldn't have used such a fat wire. I feel stupid now. There we go. Didn't get to see a lot of that. Sorry. Right, so let's just keep hunting along this board. Now, the really frustrating thing with this is that... God, this is sticky at the moment. The really frustrating thing with this is that it's not like it's like, you know, not working and then working. This is sort of partially working, and I haven't actually been able to get it to do anything wrong, but the owner of this board has reported these issues, and the owner of this board is not someone prone to telling fibs, so I have to accept that there are problems. And the owner of this board does also do things with this that I don't do in my little demonstrations or tests. So I did actually record a video of me using Elisa, and I will post on Facebook one day. Me trying out the system for the first time. Brankus grab. Alright, so we keep looking, and we keep looking, yes, looking. It's pretty clear up the top here. Now, I know it's got capacitors on it, they are electrolytic, but they're the axial type like this. And these guys generally last a really long time. Still got some corrosion on here. Bloody ultrasonic. Not doing its job. Diode. I've used Lisa M. It seems like it didn't really do all that much apart from some Office apps. Yeah, that's my assumption as well. Just from my little use of it. Very interesting thing about it as well is the Lisa does not have square pixels. And you might think, well, what are you talking about? A pixel is square. Well, no, not necessarily. And it's quite common on a lot of early computers that they use non-square pixels. The pixels were little rectangles, and they did it because horizontal resolution was apparently more visible than vertical resolution. So what they did is they made the horizontal high res and then the vertical lower res, and it gave the illusion that you were getting more pixels than you were actually getting. And so the Lisa actually has, you know, non-square pixels. Isn't that nice? Looking on the other side, we're going to see some ugliness here as well. I will be wrapping up this live stream fairly soon, so just setting some expectations. Yeah, so I'm just trying to avoid any tantrums or tears when I suddenly turn around and say that I'm finishing the stream. You don't want that. Are there games for the Lisa? That's a really good question. Not that I'm aware of. There might be, but I honestly don't know. Interestingly enough, you can actually get a Lisa 2, because this is from a Lisa 2, not a Lisa 1. You can actually get a Lisa 2 to behave like a plus. Or a Macintosh, I should say. Probably closer to a plus, because I think you can have more RAM. Yep. So that's what this is. This is a Lisa 2. And this does have MacWorks. I know, because I've used it. The bizarre thing about it is when you run MacWorks, because as I said, the Lisa has rectangular pixels. When you run MacWorks on it, it's scrunched up. Right, well, it's not particularly horrendous, but we did find a very, very clear trace break. Now, traces are not meant to be broken. They're meant to be together. So if this one was having problems, it could well be because of that damaged trace. So I consider this a win-win for everybody. There was one other thing I was thinking about doing in this live stream, but I think I've run out of time. What was it? Can't remember. That there is a thing called a bust resistor. Not bust as in B-U-S-T, bust as in B-U-S-S-E-D. Bust resistor. Anyone who has used an old SCSI device and removed those little things to, sort of to deactivate the termination, you were taking a bust resistor off. Nymph, 197.0018. That's the oscillation frequency. Just sing out if you see any dirty looking traces, but so far this looks alright. Probably should scan it all with the naked eye first. I love that top view. I love it. How good is it? It's nice, isn't it? Nice and clear. Oh, it looks good. This is a switch, by the way, for the battery backup. It should be off because there's no battery here. And of course this does connect into another board, and I'm going to have to clean that board as well. Alright. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? When was it built? I've got no idea. Did you see a date on it? There we go. 1982. Oh, good year for music. I remember it well. I think I Know What Boys Like by the Waitresses came out in 1982. There's one for you. I'm good at one-hit wonders. What does he use it for? The owner of this actually uses it not at all. I think it's the main thing for them is that it's nostalgia for them. I think the main thing they like to do on it is just fire it up and do what you can do on a Lisa and get that warm fuzzy feeling you get when you're using something like this. I mean, I love having this. here. I can't keep it because it's not mine. But you know, it's just a wonderful thing to have, you know, something like this, which is such a, you know, an important historical piece. And I mean, if you wanted to buy one of these days, certainly in Australia, you'd be looking at probably close to $10,000 if you want to buy one working. Yeah, there weren't very many made. They were a bit of a disaster. All right, well, look, I am going to probably wrap this up now, folks. So I know that we haven't done any testing or playing with things. You know, I mean, I usually like to finish the live stream with plugging something in and switching it on and seeing the operating system. We haven't had anything like that, but we had a trace break here, and we did a recap over there, and where the hell have you been, Steve? What time do you call this? 1 o'clock in the morning. Goodness me. And of course, I'm just about to finish as well. Watching some TV before. Oh, some people. Well, it is 5 p.m. here, and I haven't had lunch, so I'm going to get up now and go and have some lunch. So, kind of looking forward to that because I'm a little bit on the hungry side. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for watching. I'm sitting on about 27 viewers. As I said, it hasn't been one of my biggest streams this time because I didn't really tell anyone I was streaming. So you're only knowing about it if you got a notification. So if you got a notification, then you consider yourself lucky. I'm free to go for another 2 hours. Well, how about you take over now, Steve? That'll be good. So yeah, so as I say, I mean, I would probably just keep going. I've got plenty more repair work to do, but I do need to stop for food. So, and you know, I did what I intended to do in this live stream, which was recap the CD-ROM drive and have a look at this Lisa board. And so thank you to everyone. I say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I say thank you to everyone who has super chatted. And thank you to everyone who got me over the line for 10,000 subscribers. And remember, you got to get over to Mac84's channel and subscribe to him as well, because he got over 5,000 the other day, and then they took some away from him. Who does that? Yeah, YouTube looked at his 5,000 and said that's not legit, and took a few away from him. So poor fella. So yeah. All right. Oh yeah. So Steve's deciding that he doesn't want to stream because he did 2 successful repairs in a row, and he's scared that if he does another one, you know, he's pressing his luck for successes. I will see you all later. Thanks again. Have a lovely evening, morning, whatever time it happens to be, and I will hopefully see you at the next one. So bye. Oh, hang on. There we go. Right, that's better. So, bye!